Hi, I'm Brien James, National President of the American Guard. We've decided to do a series of position statements here at the American Guard to get our positions down on record and let the public know more about American constitutional nationalism. We're going to start by going through most of the Bill of Rights first, before moving on to other social and political issues. I'm going to speak to you today about the Second Amendment. The text of the Second Amendment reads, "A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." When we sat down and laid out what would later become the ideological platform for the American Guard, we prioritized a list of issues that we wanted to focus on. After completing the list, we tried to arrange them in order of priority, and the Second Amendment came out on top. The reason for this being that the right to defend ourselves and enforce the will of the people against tyrants with arms is the only reason we can even seriously discuss other issues and rights. Unarmed populations are completely at the mercy of their rulers. They can debate issues and ask for change, but they have no way to realistically make it happen. If they push too hard, they can be easily slaughtered, and have been many times throughout our history. Our founding fathers had just fought a successful rebellion when they wrote the Second Amendment. They wrote it with that in mind. Not hunting, not target shooting, not even home defense. They knew the population needed to be armed to a level where it could defend itself against all threats, foreign and domestic. The cost of giving up the right to bear arms can be seen in the slaughter of tens of millions of civilians under communist and fascist regimes during the last 100 years, immediately after the people were disarmed. As tragic as the current individual acts of violence that spark calls for gun control certainly are, we always have to remember that genocide and enslavement may very well be the alternative. History has shown us this time and time again. Our level of armament is also important because it is a deterrent to foreign powers who may want to attack us. The Japanese are believed to have said during World War II that to invade the United States would prove most difficult because behind every blade of grass is an American with a rifle. This sentiment has surely crossed the mind of every dictator who has tangled with us or considered an invasion since. Let this condition change, and you will most certainly see attitudes change from bad actors abroad. In the American Guard, we support gun rights in the strongest fashion. We do not support the removal of gun rights without a conviction via red flag laws or protection order proceedings. We do not support laws that limit magazine capacity or ban what leftists like to call assault rifles. We take this position because we do not believe these measures would successfully decrease violence at a level that makes up for the loss of the ability for American citizens to defend themselves. We believe an 18-year-old adult has the right to protect themselves at home, just as many of them protect this country abroad. We understand that a convicted felon may of course be stripped of the Second Amendment, as well as their basic freedom and many other rights when they are convicted of a felony. We do, however, believe that when all of the terms of their punishment are completed, their rights should be restored. The cities in America with the strictest gun laws have some of the highest gun murder rates. We have no reason to believe that any prohibition relating to guns will be more successful in America than America's previous prohibitions on alcohol or drugs. There's just no evidence whatsoever that gun laws in America will do anything but curb the rights of law-abiding citizens. Everyone wants to stop senseless violence and deaths, including the American Guard. We just don't believe that blaming the tools for violence will impact the violence in any positive way. People can just move on to using another tool: trucks, bombs, airplanes, knives, clubs, poison, biological weapons. The best way to decrease tragedy and loss of innocent life is to address the cultural and societal factors that create them. These factors have way more to do with culture and how we treat each other. There are vast differences in rates of violent crime between genders and even races, rural versus urban. In mass casualty incidents, we have conclusive evidence that individuals using psychotropic drugs has been a constant theme. That needs to be looked at. Americans commit about 16 to 17,000 murders a year. To put that in perspective, we have almost 50,000 suicides per year. The average white American is 6 times more likely to commit suicide than murder, while the average black American is 3.5 times more likely to commit murder than suicide. Could there be a cultural reason for that? Absolutely. Are both scenarios troubling? Absolutely. Can infringing on the Second Amendment fix either problem? We don't see a clear pathway there. America usually ranks around 90th in the world for homicide rates, despite our gun ownership rates. If you take out 5 or 6 of our larger cities, we fall almost completely off the list. We become one of the safest countries in the world. What this means is that the vast majority of our citizens are not contributing in any meaningful way to any of these negative gun statistics you see touted by gun control advocates. For further perspective, we have around 2.5 million people that die earlier than life expectancy in the U.S. each year. That's about 147 times the murder rate. Murder doesn't even make it into the top 10 causes of early death in the U.S. The vast majority of these early deaths are attributed to smoking and bad diet. If the people in the streets screaming for disarmament of law-abiding citizens really cared, they would dedicate their lives to fixing these issues. Instead, they want to infringe on our constitutional rights. Why? I don't know for sure. It could be they are confused and think that they're really going to help. It could be something more sinister. In any case, the simultaneous push by the left to promote socialism and communism, coupled with a simultaneous push for gun control, is beyond alarming, and the willingness to accept and compromise with it by some on the right puts us in a position where we have to take a hard stance on fighting for our rights. In closing, do not give up your guns. Do not comply with any unconstitutional requests from anyone. Your life could depend on it. The future of your friends and family are at stake. The American Guard has stood on the forefront in the fight to protect the Second Amendment, sending people to the massively successful protests against proposed gun bans in Virginia recently, and participating in the Second Amendment county assurance movement all over the country. For more information on how you can get involved with the American Guard and help us stand up for your rights, please visit us at www.theamericanguard.org or find us on social media. Have a good day.